Hi everyone. In last session, so what we discussed about of the OSI model. After that, we discussed about of the different types of the load balancer. So today's agenda already we discussed some what is the auto scaling in last sessions. But just recap here, what is the auto scaling? Auto scaling is nothing but it is used to the adjust the capacity of the required the handle the load our application. So that is called as the auto scaling. So based on my incoming traffic, we need to the adjust the servers. So what is the server? Server is nothing but just we need to add the more instances in our application. So this is my application. So we cannot say how many incoming traffics on my particular the application. We cannot predict. Suppose whenever we take example of the particular of the application, so we cannot say at that moment how many incoming traffic is on my particular the application. Suppose some event in my application, so then what will be happen, then it will be maybe chances of the increases of the incoming traffic more and more. Then what will be happen, suppose at that time my incoming traffic is more, then our application cannot handle the incoming traffic. So maybe we can say called as our application will be crash at that moment. So then what is the auto scaling? So auto scaling is nothing but, so suppose suddenly my users are increases, then auto scaling it will be adjust the servers or instances automatically as per, we can say called as based on our incoming traffic. So that is called as the auto scaling. Suppose whenever we take example of the, this is my application and we implemented only one server. So while we deploying our application, just we take example here, then at that moment just we implemented only one server. So in my application, otherwise we can say called as a, we have the two servers in that. Okay. So after that, whenever we take example of my first, we can say called as a, we have only one 10 users. So 10 users is nothing but, so hitting the our application, then we are taking the request from the application to the server, then just we are distributing these users equally in our two servers. So we whenever we take it here, so this one is a 5, then this one is a 5, then we equally distributed our incoming traffic here. But suddenly in my application, some we have the event, any kind of the, we can say, then suddenly my incoming traffic is 10 to the 30. Then what will be happen? Then it won't be handled from our existing server. So that moment we need to the more servers again here. So we need to the install the more, we need to the add the more instances here. Then is it possible to the manually added here? No, this is not possible to the manually added. Based on the incoming traffic, servers are, server should be increases, server should be decreases. So that is called as a auto scale. So whenever we increases here, what is the RPM? RPM is nothing but requested per minute. So how many users are particular of the RPM, so on our application, then suddenly my incoming traffic is 10 to 30, then how many servers we need in this application? So at that moment we require the again four servers. This is the two existing servers, then we need to the again add it here. We have to add the again four servers here because my incoming traffic is increases here. Then is it possible to the manually add it here? This is not possible to add the manually here. So at that time we need to the use the auto scaling. Whenever we use the auto scaling, then auto scaling base auto scaling, it will be take care based on our traffic. It will be add the servers. It will be, we can say call as a decreases our server. So that is called as a auto scaling group. Then how many servers we required here? Six servers we require. Then after sometimes my traffic again 30 to 10, then what will be happen? Then at that moment we can say called as a, we don't require these four servers because already we have the two servers and we are equaling the distributed the, we can say call it we are equal, we are distributing the equally our incoming traffic based on our servers. Then that time we don't require. But whenever we are using the four servers here, then bill will be generated from the cloud side. So that is called as a, we can say called as a first one is a cost management. This is our advantages of the auto scaling. Then we can scale up, we can scale down based on our incoming traffic. Then it will be high availability chances. So whenever suddenly increases our incoming traffic, then it will be available for any time our application, because we implemented already auto scaling. So how many users we can predict? No, we cannot predict how many users will we can say call it how many users are using our application, so we cannot predict. So that's why we need to implement the auto scaling. So in simple word we can say call it it helps your application scale out or scale down. We can say call we can say call it a scale out, add more resources, then when incoming traffic is increases, scale in, then we can say call it a remove resources, then when incoming traffic is a decreases, that is called as a auto scale. Then we need to the manually operation here? No, there is a no required for the manually operations, we can say. So it will be adjust the automatic resources from the auto scale side. Then monitor performance will be we can call it monitor performance metrics like CPU usage, memory, request count, all everything will be we can monitor in our auto scale group. Then we can support the we have the different types of the scaling, like dynamic scaling, then scheduled scaling, then predictive scaling. These type of the scaling we are not going to deeper here, because whenever we started our Kubernetes, then at that moment we can say call as a who will be take care of the auto scaling. It will be take care from the Kubernetes side. So that is called as a auto scaling. So when we talked about of the advantages about of the auto scale here, so it's first is a cost management, then high availability, then fault tolerance. What is the fault tolerance? Fault tolerance is nothing but is there any issue in our machines, then it will be we can say called as a there is a fault in our machines, then we need to the create a another machine there in our application, that is called as a fault tolerance. You can see here the auto scaling is nothing but continuously monitoring of the CPU usage, memory, network traffic, and request count. This is the we can say called as a uh, we can say called as a it is a one type of the advantages. Okay, then also we can say call it a it's a we can say call it nothing but it's a monitor. Suppose we are not monitoring our CPU usage, memory, then network traffic, then what will be happen? Then it will be maybe chances of our application will be crashed, because we required more and more server in our application, because we have the more incoming traffic. So that's why we need to the monitor our application. You can take example here the if CPU usage exceed 80%, then new instances are launched. Because suppose if we added one policy here, because if CPU usage exceed 80%, then new instances should be added in my application. Because if we are not adding any policy there, then what will be happen? Then we can say called as the new instances uh, won't be added in our application. Then what will be happen? Then maybe our application crash at that moment, because we are not adding up the any instances there. So that is called as a one policy. Because based on our policy, already we know that what is the policy. Policy is nothing but just we need to define the user role. Is nothing but user role is nothing but we can say called as we are defining the services rules. So that is called as a policy. So just we take example here, another here, e-commerce sites. E-commerce site is nothing but it's more servers during the just for the sales event. Suppose if we have the big billion day, then what will be happen? Then we can say called as a we have the more and more users on our application because we have the sales for the particular of the event. At that moment, we require more instances. So we cannot predict how many incoming traffics in my application. So that's why we need to the implemented of the auto scaling. Then whenever we talked about of the auto scaling is nothing but it will be add the machines from our auto scale side whenever we required in our application. That is called the auto scaling. So you can see here the in auto scaling group. So we need to the create the template there. What is the template? Template is nothing but when I click on here launch instances, then you can see here the we have to click on the EC2 machines. Then EC2 machines we have the auto scaling group. Then auto scaling group here we have the options create auto scaling group. When I click on the auto scaling group here, then you can see the we need to the launch here the template first, because if we are not launching any template, then how we can say suppose whenever we require the more servers in our application, then how we can say called as a which machines we need to the add in our application. So that is called as a template. We are defining the one template. If we require the servers in our application, then this template will be copied from the AWS side. Then it will be created again and again whenever we require the servers in our application. That is called as a auto scaling group. You can see here the first we need to the add here the auto scaling group. I think I have created some templates here. You can say called as a oh, I'm creating one template here. First auto scaling, just test 01 here. Then we have the so many options here. If you want to select existing one, otherwise we can create here the new template here. Template is nothing but just we need to the define the parameter for the EC2 machines. Okay. So already we know that how to create the EC2 machines. You can see here the template name. So what will be template name? It will be anything here. Suppose I'm creating the test auto scale. So I'm creating the just test auto here. So then I'm saying my template version description is one here. Then you can see here the we have the template tags and source template here. You can select it. Then after that we have the Amazon machines images. Already we know that what is the Amazon machine images. Then we have the recent. If we use the recently used, otherwise we have the quick start. Otherwise we can take from the marketplace side. That is called as the Amazon machine images. So I'm selecting the Amazon Linux here. Then after that, we have the options, then instances type. I'm not selecting anything here. We already here, we know that what is the key pair. Key pair is nothing but, so we want to launch of the our EC2 machines. At that time, we require the key pair. After that, we have the networks here. Then you can select here the, suppose we have the security group. You can select it existing of the security group. Otherwise, you can create it security group. Otherwise, we can select the default security group here. Then after that we have the storage here. So I'm not selecting anything and I'm not changing anything here, because already we know that suppose we have the Linux machine, then we have the by default block store volume is 8 GB. Block store is nothing but it's a elastic block store. Okay, we will discuss later on. Then we have already by default 8 GB here. Then whenever we clicked on the advanced details here, we have the different parameters in that. Already we know that user data and everything here. So I'm not changing anything in that. So just I'm selecting here the create launch template here. Once we create launch template here, then we need to the click on the here the view launch template here. Once we create it here, test auto, otherwise you can choose existing one also. You can see here the launch template. In launch template, we can see existing template whatever we created. After that, I'm just we need to the click on the auto scale group here. This is my existing one. So I'm deleting this one because this one is an existing one. So we don't require. Already I have created the one at a skill group here. So then what we need to here, then we have to click on the at a scale group here. So I'm saying here the my test application. One minute. Oh, what happened? Okay. Test application 01. Then we have the launch template here. I'm selecting any of them here. So I'm selecting here the my application, otherwise any of them. You can select it. So already, otherwise you can select the test title here. This one. So already we created here. Then just we have to click on the next button here. After that, we have the options here, different. I'm not selecting any specific of the CPO and everything here. That is called as a configuration one type of here, specific instances attribute and manually add instances type here. We have the two options is there. Then we need to the select it here the attribute here. This is the also optional. Then you can see here the instance purchase options. So on demand it's 100%. Then you can see called as a VPC. What is the VPC? VPC is nothing but it's a virtual private cloud. Then you just I'm selecting here the balance best effort, otherwise balance only. It depends on you whenever we have the required. I think we miss one parameter here. So while I'm creating here the in template, I missed CPO parameter there. So I'm selecting the existing one. I think already I have created one here properly. You can see here the next here. You can see already we missed the instances type there. So what is the instance type? So just we need to the select the which instances we are using there. So it's a free P3 micro. So we are using the instances type. Whenever we are not selecting, then it will be asked while we creating of the auto scaling group, we need to the add the CPO configuration. So that is the we miss. So that's why I have selected existing one. While we already we know that how to create the EC2 machine. Those parameters just we need to the enter in our templates while we creating. So after that, we can see here the VPC, then availability zone here. I'm selecting all three of the availability zone here. Then I'm selecting the balance best effort here and balance only. So I'm selecting this one here. Then you can see here the load balancing. We have the three types here. No load balancer. If attach the existing load balancer, if we have, otherwise we have the attaching new load balancer. So I'm not selecting anything here. Just we are going with no load balance because we are creating the one auto scaling group here. So that's why I'm not selecting anything here. So it depends on based on our requirement. Okay. This is the options we have. Then you can see here the EC2 health check here. This is also additional. This is also optional. Then you can see the health check grace period is a 300 seconds. So every time it will be checked after 300 seconds, it will be checked for the our EC2 instances health. Okay. If you want to increase, decrease, then you can. Okay. After that, I'm selecting here the next, then desired capacity 1, then minimum desired capacity and maximum capacity I'm selecting here because here we have the option scaling limit. Suppose minimum, if whenever we deployed our application there, then how many servers we required minimum based on our traffic. So then we need to the select it. Just for practice being, we are selecting the one here. Okay. After that, no policy I'm attaching here. Already we discussed what is the policy and everything here. Launch before terminating, and we have the different policies based on our requirement. We have to add the policies there. Then after that, we can see here the next button here. You can see here the add notification optional. This one is a service. SNS is nothing but this one is another service, simple notification service. So already we are not discuss it. So once we discuss it, then I will what is exactly. So that's why we will discuss later on this service because it's a pending. Once we completed this one, then we have the so many these service where we need to the use it. I will explain. Okay. Right now I'm not selecting because it's pending. So we are not discuss anything in that. So that's why I'm not selecting anything here. This is the optional add notification. After that, it's a nothing but simple notification service. So whatever we require the notification from the AWS side, then we need to go with SNS service. You can select it here. We need to click on the next button here. Then we have the options add tags. This is also optional. If you want to add the tag, then we can add it. Otherwise, we can skip here. Then we have to click on the next button here. After that, you can see here the create auto-scaling group here. You can see here the uh, status is updating the capacity. Then you can see the test application 01 here. Then this is the my template. This is nothing but we use the configuration. So what suppose whenever my machine suppose due to some reason otherwise based on our traffic we require the more servers in our application, then it will be take this existing template and it will be create from the autoscale side. That is called as a autoscaling. You can see here the with how many instances we have right now. You can see here the we have the two instances. Okay, this one is a running. So already we created. So this one is terminated. So just it is a status. You can check here the status check initialized because we are already created the group here. Once it is updated status here, then it will be initialized because it will be take some time. Already we know that because it is a creating from the AWS side. You can see here the let me refresh once again here. It will be take some time because already we know that whenever we created some services, so it will be take some time. Yeah, you can see here the status. So desired capacity, minimum capacity, maximum, and availability zone here. You can see here the and our instances is started here. You can see here the it's a running status. It's running, and you can see the here our status is here. Okay, because it's a past status. You can see here the we cannot see we cannot see any name here for the EC2 instances because while we creating uh, the template we are not added, so that's why we cannot see here. So if you want to add it, you can just click on here and we can add it. Okay, so you can see here the how many instances we have, only one running instances. So due to some reason otherwise we require the more server in our application, otherwise any of the reason, then it will be create uh, from the autoscale side. Right now I'm deleting this server because due to some issue our machine is crashed. Then what will be happen? Then is it possible to add the manually server? No, this is not possible. So who will be take care? It will be take care from the autoscale group side. You can see here the we terminated or we deleted. You can see here the once we deleted, then it will be once we deleted, then again EC2 machine will be started there because it will be starting to the initializing because we deleted due to some reason, or maybe we can say call as our EC2 machine is due to some reason our machine is crashed. So then what will be happen? Then it will be create another server here. because we already created the autoscale group here. You can see here the how many machines here, right? Existing one is 2 here. Then you can see both are the, this one is a setting down. So I'm deleting these both of the here, sorry, deleted instances. Then you can see here the here. Once we delete it, you can see here the, it will be start new instances here to initializing, because 1 minute, it will be take some time because still it is not terminated completely. So that's why we are able to see here. So I'm deleting both of here. Successfully terminated or deleted here. You can see here the, see. So you can see here the third, you can see here the my EC2 instances starting, and it is a status here. You can check initializing. So how many times we are deleted? So many times whenever we deleting, it will be create again and again our EC2 instances. So we can say called as a, due to some reason or any of them, we required based on our traffic, we required some machine in our application, then it will be create from the autoscale side. That is called as a scaling part. We can say called as a, it's a scaling. So different types of the scaling: dynamic scaling, then scheduling scaling, then predictive scaling. So it based on our requirement, we have to use it. That is called as a scale. So whenever we already we know that what is the use cases. So use cases is nothing but when we have the event in e-commerce website, then at that time we require the more server, because everyone is using of the our application. They started some using the application, then what will be happen? Maybe our incoming traffic is more and more there, then we require the server. So that's why more and more server we require. So that's why it will be, we can say called as a, we need to the add the servers, we need to the delete the server based on our incoming traffic. So what is the types of the scaling? Dynamic scaling, we have then scheduled scaling, then predictive scaling. Already we know that what is the advantages here. You can see here the cost management, high availability, fault tolerances. Fault tolerances is nothing but due to some reason our machine is crashed. Suppose we implemented some servers in our application, due to some reason, one server is crashed, then what will be happen? Then it will be create from the autoscale side. It will be create from the scaling part side. We can say call it the, it's the autoscaling. You can see number of times delete your machine, then it will be starting to the creating the new machine, because we created the autoscale there. So you can, if we delete it again, then it will be create again another new instances there. So you can say called as a, but when we talked about of the configuration, then same configuration whatever we uh, created in our template, then same configuration machines, it will be added from the autoscale side. Then I want to delete first, once we practice is done here, first we need to delete this one. After that we have the two types of the scaling part in the AWS, otherwise in any of the cloud computing. But whenever we talked about of the here dynamic scaling and everything here, so these are the different here, scheduling, scaling, and predictive. These are the subtype we can say. Earlier we were discussing, but we have the mostly two types of the scaling part here. You can see the vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. You can see here the horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. What is the difference between the horizontal and vertical scaling here? So, what first we will discuss here the horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling we can call as a, just we need to the add the more servers. So whenever we require the in our application, then so what then we can call the why we require the more servers based on our incoming traffic. Otherwise, due to some reason, our server is crashed. That time we require the server. That time directly we can add the new server. So, but on which basis we are adding the server there? Already we know that because we already created the one template. By following this template, it will be create the one server in our application. Then what about of the vertical scaling? Vertical scaling is nothing but so in real time when we talked about of the vertical scaling, in rare case we use the vertical scaling whenever take example of suppose in my application, so it's high performance state, it's so many data for our businesses, then I don't want to add the more servers in that case. So then what will be happen? Then we need to go with vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is nothing but earlier, suppose we have the servers here, one server. So earlier it was uh, 8 GB RAM and 30 GB of the capacity. Just we are taking example here. Then we need to increase the capacity for the existing server. Then we have to go with six more capacity. Then we are increasing the 8 to 16 and 30 GB to the 60 GB. That is called the vertical scaling. So based on our requirement, we have to go with scaling part. It will be horizontal, it will be vertical. But in rare case, we have to go with vertical scaling. And whenever we require the more servers in our application, then we have to use the horizontal scaling. By using already we discussed here the which type of the scaling whenever we are deleting EC2 machines again and again, then it is a horizontal scaling type here. Are we going to add any configuration there? No, at that time we are not going to add any configuration. Just we are just we are adding once we deleted the machines, then we are adding the new machines by using of the existing template. Based on our existing template, we are creating the new instances there. You can see here once I have deleted auto scaling group and my whatever we have the EC2 instances, then after that you can refresh it after 2 minutes 5 minutes, then we cannot see adding of any machines there because we deleted the auto scaling group. So mainly we have the two types of the scaling part: horizontal scaling, vertical scaling. But whenever we talked about of the here already dynamic scaling, then scheduling scaling and predictive scaling, this is the our we can say called as a subtype of the scaling part. So mostly we have the two types of the scaling part. Whenever we talked about of the policies, so these policies based on whatever we decide with the policy, based on these policy is nothing but it's a rules. Based on the that policy, then our server will be created. Suppose whenever we uh, suppose my target CPU is equal to the 60%. So previous server, if it is 1 minute. So when we can call as a this is my server. So if it is completely 60%, then it will be auto scaling will be start to the create a new servers there because we already put the condition there target CPU equal to the 60%. So then but whenever we can say call as a when will be check it, so every time already we have the iteration period, so we have the grace period there. So that within the grace period, it will be check servers time again and again. Then if it is equal the 60%, then it will be create a new server automatically. So that is called as a auto scaling part. After that, whenever we have the next agenda, that is called as a EBS. So what is the EBS? You can see here the here. What is the EBS is nothing but it is Elastic Block Store. So what is the block store? Block store is nothing but whenever we purchase any of the laptop, mobile, at that time we have some space in the mobile laptop. That is called as a block store. So same thing, whenever we created one machines, then we machines is nothing but just we are creating the one instances. At that time we require the one hard disk, otherwise we require the SSD. So already we know that while we creating the by default, already we discussed by default, whenever we use the Linux, at that time by default volume is a 8 GB, and whenever we go with Windows, then we have the 30 GB. You can see here the, suppose I am selecting here the Windows, then you can see here the what is the volume here for the, you can see here the 30 GB. So this is the storage. So it is nothing but it is the Elastic Block Store. So in that Elastic Block Store, we have the volume snapshots and lifecycle manager here. Whenever when we create two EC2 instances, then EBS volume get created automatically. Suppose whenever we created one EC2 machines here and we are not selecting of any of the can we delete this one? We have the configuration storage. Can we delete it? No, we cannot delete it. Suppose if we once after created the EC2 machines, if we deleted the whatever we created the storage, if we delete it, then what will be happen? In that case, our machines won't be run. So we can say call as our machines. We can say call as our machines won't be run. We cannot start our machines. That is the thing. So what is the EBS? EBS is nothing but it is a block store. Whenever we created of the any of the EC2 machines, either we can go with Amazon, any of the. So here, suppose I'm creating the one Amazon here. I'm creating the one EBS 01. Okay. After that, I'm selecting here the existing key pair. Then once we selected the existing key pair, so do we have any options here? We don't have any options here. If you want to add the volume, anything here, you can see here the backup information here. So you can see here the existing in, then you can see the, I'm selecting here the which instance types here. You can see here the another option that is called as a add another volume, that is called as a additional volume. We can say called as a, this is the custom volume. But do we have any options here to delete this existing one? No, we don't have any options to delete the volume one. So once we launch here, then I want to increase my machine volume. Then we can increase here. This is the instance. Then you can see it will be take some time here. You can see one instance is running here. So EBS1, these are the already we created from the autoscale side. You can see here the, if you want to increase the capacity for the my EC2 instances, then we have the option is there. But in while if we have the running state, then can we edit, can we modify our storage? No, we cannot modify our any of the storage here. So first we have to stop our machine, then we can modify our parameters here. You can see here the, you can see once we have the options here, if you want to increase this volume, then we can increase it. So already we discussed what two types of the volumes in our EC2 instances. One is a root volume, another is a additional volume. So what is the root volume? Root volume is nothing but while we creating the EC2 instances, that volume we already selected there. So that is called as a root volume. Then if we require the more volume in our EC2 instances, then we can add the custom volume, that is called as a additional volume. But when we launch the EC2 instances, by default, we will get only one root volume. Root volume is a mandatory for the EC2 instances. Then additional EBS volume are optional based on our requirement. We can add, we can remove. That's called as a additional volume. But whenever we talked about of the root volume, then we cannot remove. We cannot remove because once we remove, then we cannot launch our EC2 machines. Whenever we take example for the Windows VM, then we will get the 30 GB as a default volume size. For Linux volume, uh, Linux VM, then we will get the 8 GB as a default volume size. EBS volume can we have up to 16 TB. That is called as a 16,000 GB. That is a your EBS volume. We can increase the capacity. Once EC2 VM can have the multiple EBS volume because already we discussed there. So one is a root volume. Then based on our requirement, we can increase the volume. That is called as an additional volume. One EBS volume can attach to the one EBS volume can be attached to only EC2 VM at a time. Suppose we have the one EBS volume, then can we add more EC2 instances? No. At a time we cannot add it. So that is called as another thing here. EBS volume are availability zones specifics. So you can see here so already we stopped here. Let me refresh here. You can see here this is the AP South 1A. Then belongs it will be available specific zone wise. Then whenever we take example for the Mumbai region, then it will be available of the AP South 1, then AP South dash 1A, then 1B, 1C, that type of. But whenever we selecting another region, that time it will be available. Then can we add that region of the volume? No, we cannot add it because it is a specific region of the volume. So you can see here I'm selecting these instances. Then you can see here the storage. In that storage, we can add here. Suppose I want to add the another 1 minute. I have selected no. So this is the volume ID. Just we need to click on the volume ID. After that, you can go from here also. If we have the option is there, different option is there, then 1 minute. Once we selected actions, then fault injection, modified volume, creates snapshot, everything here, delete. But do we have any options for the root volume here? No, we don't have any options for the root volume. You can see here the different parameters for the root volume. You can see here this is the resources. Then you can see availability zones. Already we discussed. It will be available for the zone wise. If we created the one EC2 instances, and if we are trying to the volume for the another region, then is it possible? No, this is not possible to the uh, add the volume for the another region. So that is called as a region specific. So you can see called as a, but whenever we talked about of the 1 minute here, so this is my EC2 instances, 1 minute. So let me create one EC2 instances, another EC2 instances. So whenever we created two EC2 instances here, first one is a, we can call it a 1A. It's a Mumbai region. Then another one is a 1B. It's a Mumbai region, but it's a another specific. Okay. Then we can add here the one whenever we created the EC2 instances, already we added the one EBS because already we know that this is my root volume. But when we talked about of the another here, so we have the options here. We can add the 1 minute. We have the option is there, create snapshot and modify volume, but we have the do have any enable options here? No, we don't have. So we can create another volume here. Suppose I'm selecting here the then availability zone 1A, 1B, 1C. Then you can select it and you can use it. That is called as the additional volume. Suppose we added here volume for the my EC2 instances. Okay, so you can see here the so we need to the start once again. This is the start instances volume. Let me refresh it. You can see here the 100 GB we added here. So it is a available volume state. So it's available for the availability zone for the 1A. Then whenever we select it here, then already we started here. Then we can modify this volume, we can create the volume, then we can delete the volume, we can attach the volume also here. But whenever we selected same thing for the root volume, then you can see here the we can create the life cycle policy there, but we cannot modify the root volume. That is the restriction from the AWS side. Because whenever we delete it, suppose whenever we purchase the one laptop from the market, then if storage is not available in my the laptop, then can we use it for the laptop? No, we cannot use for the our laptop. This is the root, we can say called as a volume. Then we can add the number of volumes in our machines up to 16 TB. But based on our requirement, we use here the, so this is the another volume. So we have the, what are the options is there? So we have the options is there, volume A, volume B. Then we can say call as this is my, we can say call as a, if you want to create a snapshot, then we have the option is there. If you want to add, so you can, we will discuss later on what is the snapshot. First, you can see here the, this is the snapshot. Then we can say call as a another volume. We have the another volume. This is the additional. We can say call as a, this is the volume for the snapshot, and this is the additional volume. What is the additional volume? If you want to add volume in my machines, 1 minute. Let me add. This is the add volume. So we have the this one. So what is the root volume? Root volume is nothing but it, while we creating of the any of the EC2 instances, at that time it will be created by default volume, that is called as a root volume. What is the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but we can say called as a, it is a backup. So we will discuss, our next topic is a snapshot. Then another volume we have here the, suppose if we created another volume for the, this one is a 1A, 1A. Suppose we have the Mumbai South 1A, but we created another volume here, the 1B. Suppose whenever we take example for the 1B here, okay. Then if we created the another EC2 VM here, suppose if we created another EC2 VM here, then we can attach this volume to 1B here. So what will be chain here? We can say this is the root volume. So we will take backup. Okay. There is a no criteria for the any of the region for the backup wise here right now. We will discuss later. Okay. Then we have the options here. Then we have to go with snapshot to the volume because it's a 1B. Then if we created 1B here, then we can attach to the our another EC2 VM. But it depends on our availability zone, in which availability zone our EC2 VM got created. In same availability zone, we have to create the EBS value for the attaching. But if we created the uh, if we created the EBS for the another availability zone, then can we attach that? No, we cannot attach it because we can call it the EBS. It work based on our region wise. So it will be whatever we selected the availability zone, that availability zone we have to follow it and we can attach it. That is called as a EBS. So what is the purpose of the EBS? EBS is nothing but we can say call as a it is a elastic block store. So whenever we created any of the machines, then we have the root volume. If we require to the add the volume as per your requirement wise, we can add it, but that time we can say call as a that volume is a additional volume. So let me delete this one. So if you want to modify it as per your requirement wise, we can. You can see here the state also, volume state is available. So we can delete it, we can modify it, otherwise we can create the snapshot. You can see already we created one diagram here. So root volume, after that root volume, we can create the snapshot. Then after that, we can add volumes also there. If you want to add it, you can see here the availability zone here. If we change the availability zone, then can we add the same an additional volume to the EC2 machines? No. If we change the availability zone, if it is different availability zone for the EC2 VM and EBS, then we cannot attach the volume for the particular of the EC2 VM. So then we have the create snapshot. Create snapshot is nothing but, so already we know that what is the backup. Backup is nothing but if we are using the databases in our application, then we need to the store the data. Whatever we have the user data, we need to the store it. Suppose if we don't have any backups for the databases, then what will be happen? Then due to some reason, otherwise any of the reason, it's deleted from the databases, then what will be happen? Then we will lose all the data, whatever we have the user data, then user cannot use our application. So that's why we need to the create every time for the backup. So whatever we have the storage, then we have to create the backup for the storage. What is the purpose of the storage? Then we can, whatever we have the required the data I want to add in my application, then we can add the data in my application. But whenever we adding the data at that moment, at that time, we can say whatever we have the data, it will be stored in our EBS. Then if it is deleted the EBS due to some reason, but root volume is we cannot delete, but due to some reason my machine is crashed, then what will be happen? Then we lose the all the data. So that's why we need to create a backup. So that is called as a snapshot. So what is the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but it is used to the volume backup. Then snapshot are region specific because already we discussed. Then from volume, whatever we created, then we need to create the snapshot for that volume because we are taking the backup for the volume for the safe purpose, we can say. Snapshot cannot be attached to the EC2 instances directly because volume can be attached to the EC2 instances directly. Already we know that we can directly attach the volume to the EC2 instances, but snapshot we cannot directly attach to the our EC2 instances. You can see here the we have the option is there. We have the different options, actions, and everything here. You can see here the I want to create a volume for the snapshot, then we can create it. Otherwise, we can select it here the volume. Then we can select it here volume. This is the running state EC2 instances volume that is called as a root volume, we have the one running state EC2 instances. That's why we can see here. Otherwise, if you want to create it, then we can create it. But if we don't have any machines, then how we can create it? So that is the thing. So every time we need to the uh, we have to add the one EC2 instances, then we can take the backup for the volume. Okay. Then snapshot details, we whatever we have the purpose here, just I'm adding the 0 1 here. Then we have the encrypted, not encrypted, then we have the tags also there. You can see here the this is the my backup for the running instances of the volume. You can see here the one if it is status still it is status is pending here. You can see here that if you want to add the name for the your here, you can add it. It will be take some time. It's you can see here the progress 0 1. So just a minute. Let me refresh it once again. It will be take some time. So already we discussed the volume. So what is the volume? Volume is nothing but it is an elastic block store. We have the different types, two types of the volume, but one is a root volume, another is a additional volume. Whenever we require the additional volume, then we can add it in our machines. But otherwise, we have to use only root volume because root volume is a main volume we can say. If we are trying to delete the root volume, then we cannot delete it. If you want to modify that root volume, then we cannot modify that one because uh, it's a root volume. If you want to add, then we can add it. Whatever we added the volume, we can delete it. So based on our requirement, we can use it volume. After that, what is the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but you can see here the it's completed, and these are the volumes are the based on our region wise. You can see also snapshots also is based on our region wise. This is the our snapshot. What is the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but snapshot are used for the volume backup. Snapshot are region specific. Then from the volume we can create the snapshot. From snapshot we can create the volume also because it's vice versa. From volume we can create the snapshot. From snapshot we can create the volume also. So it's a vice versa. Then snapshot cannot be attached to the EC2 instance directly, but volume can be attached to the EC2 instances directly. So that are the component already we discussed here. What are the discussed here? You can see here the already we discussed the images, then elastic block store, then security group, all those stuffs we already discussed. And here we can say called as a we completed our EC2 instances. Tomorrow we will start our new services. First we will see the what we discuss in our EC2 instances. What is the EC2 instances? First we discuss, then why EC2 instances we discuss. After that, EC2 instances types, already we know that while we creating the any of the EC2 instances, let me delete this one because we don't require, otherwise bill will be generated. So whatever we creating for practice purposes, then make sure we need to delete it. Otherwise bill will be generated. You can see here the while we launching the instances, so we have the EC2 instances type here. Okay, that we have the AMI. AMI is nothing but Amazon machines image. Then what is the key pair? Key pair is nothing but already we know that if you want to connect with our Linux machine, then we need to the create the one key pair. Then after that already we discussed the security group. In that security group we discussed the two types, inbound rule and outbound rule. Then after that we already after that we discussed the Windows VM and how to create the RDP, how to launch the Windows VM by using of the RDP client. Then after that we discuss the Linux VM launch by using of the SH client. After that we discuss the what is the user data. Then after that we discuss the how to host the uh, static website by using of the EC2 machines. Then after that we will already we discussed the load balancer and types. Then after that we discussed OSI model. Then after that we discussed the auto-scaling group. Then we discussed the types of the IPs and one more thing, volumes already we discussed, and EBS snapshots also is there. So these are the points already we discussed. I think almost we completed the EC2 services. So once we completed the EC2 instances, and we can say call it this is the most demanding services in our cloud computing, because everything we will discuss later on why important and everything in that. We completed EC2 instances. Tomorrow, from tomorrow, we will start next services. Okay. I think that's it for today. We can say call it we completed the EC2 instances services. Sorry, EC2 not instances, EC2 service we completed here. Okay. Thank you guys.